जी आगा बिस्मिल्लाह कीजिए।
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله الذي ليس لأوليته ابتداء ولا لأزليته انقضاء وانحسرت الأوصاف عن كنه معرفته وردعت عظمته العقول والذي لا تواري عنه سماء سماء ولا أرض أرضاه ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على سيد البطحاء سيد المرسلين والأنبياء أبي القاسم محمد المصطفى وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتخبين المنتجبين الميامين واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من حين عداوتهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في حديث قدسي الصوم لي وأنا أجزي به صلوات الله صلى على محمد وآل محمد. The subject of my lesson today, as you know already, is the wisdoms of fasting. आज की तकरीर का मौजू रोजे की हिकमत है. So first things first, in Islam we have four things. So we have for every teaching that we have been told, we have ahkam, which means the rulings, and we have adab, which means the etiquettes, and we have hikam, which means the wisdoms, and we have asrar, which means the secrets. Ahkam, adab, hikam, and asrar, rulings, etiquettes, wisdoms, and secrets. Today, I'm talking about the wisdoms. So it's not about the ahkam, the rulings. It's not about the adab, the etiquettes of fasting. It's not about the asrar and secrets of fasting. This is about the wisdoms. And wisdom is defined by our urafat, our great teachers. Al-ghayatul mutarattibatu al-fi'l means the goal that we are pursuing through performing this action. What is exactly we are trying to achieve? What is the goal? What is the final goal that we are planning to achieve? That final goal that we are trying to achieve through fasting is categorized to be, quote unquote, the wisdom and hikmat of fasting. Al-ghayatul mutarattibatu al-fi'l. एक काम के करने के ऊपर क्या नतीजा, गायत, गरज और गायत उसकी क्या है, क्या हदफ, क्या नतीजा हम हासिल करते हैं, करने के बाद हमें हासिल क्या होता है और क्या होना चाहिए. जो चीज हासिल होती है, जिस चीज के हासिल करने के लिए ये काम किया जाता है, कोई भी काम किया जाता है, कोई भी इबादत की जाती है, उस चीज को हिकमत इबादत कहा जाता है. When it comes to fasting, there are four wisdoms I would like to mention today. The time is not too much, it's limited. I'll try to make it short, inshallah. So the first is the Fahmul Asrar, understanding of the secrets. The second is Hurriyat, means the true freedom in the fullest sense of the word. And the third is Liqa'ullah, means meeting with Allah. And the fourth wisdom is taqwa and piety that I'm going to mention inshallah today. So let's go to the first one. Fahmul Asrar, understanding the secrets. Understanding of the secrets, the path towards understanding the secrets of fasting goes through the wisdom. And look at the hadith of Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's in Bihar Anwar, volume 63, page 330, where our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, "Ma mala'a adamiyyun wa'an sharram min al-batn." No human ever filled up a container worse than the stomach. And I remember my teacher Ayatollah Jawadi Amuli Hafizahullah, biggest mufassir of Quran on the planet. used to say that when a person eats full, the door towards understanding the secrets. That's what we are discussing. Wisdom number one, Fahmul Asrar, understanding the secrets. The door towards understanding the secrets is shut on that soul. We never eat full. According to Islamic etiquettes, Islamic teachings, Islamic value system, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, the greatest personalities ever, never, ever, 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 ever ate full in their lives. Never, not even once. Not even once. My teacher said when a person eats full, the metaphysical blessings can no longer enter into his soul. Blessings of Allah, the ni'mats of Allah are divided into two classifications. An-ni'amul madiyah, the material blessings of Allah, which Allah even gives to the animals and beasts and birds and fishes and insects and so on and so forth. And an-ni'amul ma'nawiyah, the metaphysical blessings, which Allah only gives to those who deserve it. So we are supposed to be humans, most noble, most superior of all the existences around, and we are supposed to go for the metaphysical blessings, right? So the door towards acquiring the metaphysical blessings is shut on a soul that eats full. So this is what is important to understand. Such a great blessing of Allah asking us to fast. He doesn't benefit. Nobody can benefit God. For the God to be God, nobody can be able to benefit him or harm him. We are at the benefiting end. We are the ones who benefit at the end of the day with whatever worships positively we do for the sake of Allah. And we are at the, we are the ones who actually harm our own selves if we disobey the Creator. Nobody can harm God. Nobody can benefit him. Allah doesn't benefit from our worships. He doesn't get harmed. So when its narration says when ashab companions used to come to the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the morning, Prophet used to ask them, and that's documented in our mother book Al-Kafi, volume number 8, and page number 90, where it's documented. Prophet used to ask his companions, "Hal min mubasharat?" Do you guys have some? In other words, do you guys have? Saw certain dreams last night that those dreams might be interpreted into glad tidings and basharat. So we don't eat full, so we end up becoming sleepy and becoming deprived of the metaphysical blessings of Allah. We are missing out on the whole purpose of fasting if that's the case. So we sleep, so we receive certain metaphysical blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and those metaphysical good dreams and nice dreams full of nuraniyat and luminosity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and those of the dreams which might be interpreted as basharat and glad tidings in the next morning in our favor. So a person burped in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. Prophet said, "Aqsir." Prophet said to him, "Aqsir min jasha'ika fa in atwal an-nas ju'an yawm al-qiyamah aktharuhum shaba'an fi dunya." And that's from Basail al-Shia, volume 18, page 410. So we learn from this beautiful hadith, although every hadith is equally beautiful, that decrease from your food. This guy burped in front of the Holy Prophet. Obviously, he ate a lot. So Prophet said, decrease from your food, because the person who's going to be standing for the longest duration on the Day of Judgment is the one who ate most in the life of this world. So we are not supposed to eat full because we are here to acquire the metaphysical blessings. Fasting provides that great opportunity to make ourselves eligible by abstaining from eating and drinking, make ourselves eligible to receive metaphysical blessings of Allah, enabling our soul to become eligible to have the Fahmul Asrar understanding of certain secrets dropped into our heart by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's Imam Ali Islam. That's such a great bit of information. Imam Ali Islam has a garden. He had a gardener working there, and he said once that to his gardener, "Do you have some food?" He said, "Yeah, Amir Mu'minin, I have some food. It's very, very simple. It doesn't, seem to be appropriate to present to you." Although this guy is missing the fact that Imam Ali and Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam's food was the simplest of all the people ever, and they raised the bar. Prophet and Ahlul Bayt raised the bar so high that nobody can parallel them till the day of judgment. There cannot be a human born who can say my food, my lifestyle is more simpler than that of Amir Mu'mineen alayhi salam and Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam. So he already raised the bar so high. His food was already the simplest. But this gardener said to Imam Ali alayhi salam that the food is very simple. It doesn't seem appropriate to present to Imam Ali. Said, "Bring it." So he brought the food. Imam Ali alayhi salam ate. That was a simple pumpkin. Imam Ali alayhi salam ate from that pumpkin and then indicated towards his stomach and said, "A stomach that can become full through this kind of food." In other words, such a simple food, how bad it is that a person goes to the hellfire, lands into the hellfire for the sake of his stomach. A lot of people are going to go to the hellfire for the sake of their stomach, eating the haram and eating what Allah forbade. So this is the first wisdom. And let's touching base on on those wisdoms as short as I can. And the second wisdom is hurriyat, means the true freedom that Islam talks about, not the fake freedom that you find by certain media outlets in the West, talking about the freedom which is fake, the real freedom, not becoming slaves of, this taghut and that taghut, or this political system or that political system, or this political party or that political party, or these desires or those whims and wishes. The real freedom means setting ourselves free from any and every attachment to this world and becoming true servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our creator. That's the real freedom. So it is narrated by Sheikh Saduq in Kitabul Amali, where he narrates this hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is actually part of his sermon of the month of Sha'ban, Khutbatun Sha'baniyya, a very famous sermon. And Prophet said, "Ya ayyuhan nas, inna anfusakum marhunatum bi a'malikum fafukkuha bistighfarikum." Oh, you the people, you are under the captivity of your actions and deeds. So set your actions and deeds, set yourself free through your istighfar. So when we sin, God forbid, we are showing that we are slaves of our desires and whims and wishes. One of the wisdoms of fasting, which is that if we want our fast to be considered quote unquote fasting, the real fasting in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we have to get rid of the sins. Every part of the body has a share. That's why they say every part of the body has a share in fasting. Eyes need to be fasting. I don't look at things that Allah made haram. Ears need to be fasting. I don't listen to those voices, ghibat, tuhmat, jughal-khori, gossiping, backbiting, and so on and so forth, all the things that Allah made haram. My hands need to be fasting. I don't do things through my hands that Allah made to be haram. I don't walk to places where Allah made haram to go, and so on and so forth. Every part of the body has a share in the fasting. When a person is fasting in that pattern, that his entire body has a share in fasting, this is the kind of fasting which is actually considered to be quote unquote fasting. It's not just abstaining from food and drinks, how some simple-minded people perceive. People's perceptions, have no place when it comes to the value system of Allah. We need to learn what our Creator has said. Amir Mu'mineen alayhi salam in his hadith says, "Man taraka shahawat kana hurra." The person who quits the whims and wishes and desires, he became free. So one of the wisdoms of fasting is when we fast, which means every part of our body is supposed to be fasting, right? Not just stomach, abstaining from food and drink. how simple-minded people perceive. So when we fast in the true meaning of the word fasting, by making sure every part of our body has a share in fasting, this is the kind of fast that enables us to actually become free from our desires. So what's the sign? Now, every haqiqat and reality has a sign, and we discover the existence of that reality through that sign, right? Every haqiqat has an alamat. Every reality has a sign, and we discover that reality to be found or unfound through that sign. What is the sign? That a person is actually free. He's not a slave of this world. He's not a slave of his desires. He's not a slave of the tawhuts. He's not a slave of anybody else. He's only a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator. What is the sign to discover whether a person is free or not? The sign is clear. Is he acting according to his own wishes? Hawa nafs, khahishat nafsani, his own whims and wishes, or he gives in and submits, ruhut taslim, submitting to the commands of the creator. If a person submits to the commands of the creator and he doesn't obey his own desires and whims and wishes, that kind of person is what Islam considers to be free. That's the real freedom. Now, what's the path towards becoming free? Istighfar. We do the istighfar. So when we seek the forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is how we set ourselves free from those sins. Because, a person has every bad deed. Our scholars of akhlaq teach us every bad deed a person performs is actually a chain that is hanging on his neck. On the day of judgment, as we are resurrected, we are going to find those chains. We are going to find those chains available, and we are going to find those chains available tied up on our neck. So Imam Sajjad alayhi salam and his dua is saying that, have mercy upon me at the time when saratil a'malu aghlalan fil a'naq, when the actions become chains in the necks, right? Imam Ali says in Dua Kumail, wa qa'adat bi aghlali, that means my aghlal. Imam Ali has no sin. He's teaching us, my aghlal, my chains have bogged me down, so I'm basically cannot stand up straight. So our bad deeds become the chains. So this is where, when we follow our wishes, whims and wishes and desires, this is how we are bogged down, and we cannot fly up towards the proximity and qurbat and taqarrub of Allah. And every moment performs every single deed in his life, qurbatan ilallah, to get closer and closer and closer to his creator. So now, how do we discover a person is a slave of his whims and wishes and desires or not? Two ways. First, is he willing to live more in this dunya? Sign number one. A lot of people love to stay more and more and more, whereas the hadith of Imam Sadiq al-Islam teaches us, ad-dunya sijnun lil mu'min. Dunya is this world is a prison for a mu'min, wa jannatun lil kafir, and a paradise for the disbeliever. So and the second way to find out whether a person is still a slave to, or he's a free man, is he a slave? The second way to find out is that the guy is afraid of dying, afraid of death. Whereas Islam teaches us death is liqa'ullah, meeting with Allah. We definitely see Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. He said to his authentic hadith says, he said to his companion Haris al-Hamdani from Qabilatul Hamdan, from Yemen. This whole tribe used to be a great follower of Imam Ali salam back then. Imam Ali said to his companion Haris al-Hamdani, Ya Haru Hamdana man yamut yarani, which means that, oh Haris, whoever dies sees me. So we are supposed to be happy to have liqa'ullah, meeting with Allah and meeting with Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, the Khalifa of the Holy Prophet, instead of being afraid of death. So this is where Islam teaches us not to get attached with this dunya. And if we are attached to this dunya, the biggest najasat, brothers and sisters, is not the dog or a pig. A dog or a pig Come on, a dog or a pig are najis, correct? They're najis, correct? But a dog or a pig never ever killed a prophet in the entire history, or any of the Ma'soom infallible Imams throughout the history. Right? They cannot. They're perfectly obedient towards Allah. Whatever assigned task Allah has given, they are performing that. We don't know about those tasks. That's a different story. What do we know? Our knowledge is, extremely, extremely limited. Just because we don't know doesn't give us a license to deny or denounce or challenge. So the biggest najasat is not a dog or a pig. The biggest najasat out there is hubbud dunya, attachment towards this temporary material world, which is the root cause of every single sin and every single massacre happening in the history of humankind. And on top of those crimes are the killing of the prophets and killings of 11 of our greatest imams. Top of the line oppressions and brutalities of the entire history. So the biggest najasat is not a dog or a pig. They are najis, but they are not the biggest ones. The biggest is love of dunya, having love affair with this world, temporary world, and its perks and benefits and interests. How many people have the biggest najasat in their soul, and they walk into the masjids and worship places and walk out with the same biggest najasat, hubbud dunya, love affair with this dunya and its temporary material belongings? And how many people even realize to do tawbah from the biggest najasat that they're carrying in their souls? Wisdom, one of the wisdoms of month of Ramadan, it makes us truly free from the biggest najasat of attachment with this world, and making ourselves free, obedient towards our Creator. I'll move forward to the third wisdom by just mentioning one hadith from Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. He says, "Ala hurrun yada'u hadhihi al-lumadha ila ahliha li ahliha." So al-lumadha in Arabic means those, when you chew the food, there are certain particles that are stuck in your gums of the chewed food. Imam Ali alayhi salam, in other words, is teaching us that is there a free man who can leave the lumadha for those who deserve it? That means Imam Ali is actually considering this world, this material temporary world, to be just like the chewed particles of the previous generations of the humankind. They have chewed upon the same world, same dunya, same worldly interests, benefits, and perks of this world. And those chewed particles are stuck in the gum, and there are certain people who are still willing to go after the same dunya and similar worldly, material, temporary interests without realizing this is just like the chewed food and chewed particles stuck in the gums, and those particles belong from the chewed food of the previous generations. Is there a free man out there who is willing to, to just stop chewing the chewed food from the previous generations and become free, set himself free in the real sense of the word, when we worship this dunya and its material interests and sell out our values and faith? We are chewing on the chewed food of the previous generations. And some people are just slaves of Tawhut. One of the great blessings, great blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the lutf of Sahib al-Zaman Islam was the Islamic revolution. Imam Ridwanullah alayh gave the message to the entire Islamic ummah to stand up against the Tawhut. Some people are slaves of Tawhut. Ayatul Kursi teaches us, وَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ بِالتَّاغُوتِ وَيُؤْمِنْ بِاللَّهِ فَقَدْ اسْتَمْسَكَ بِالْعُرْوَةِ الْوُثْقَى. First things first. First step is to do kufr towards Tawhut. Allah is asking us to do kufr towards Tawhut, where some people believing the Tawhut, support the Tawhut, sympathize with the Tawhut, have sympathies in their hearts towards the policies of Tawhuts. That's the great job done by Imam, and likewise Samahatul Waliul Faqih, Hafidhahullah. So let's move on towards the next wisdom which is the third wisdom is liqa'ullah. So the Hadith al-Qudsi, which I recited at the beginning of my lesson, that's narrated in Rawdatul Muttaqeen, volume 3, page 225, where this Hadith al-Qudsi is the conversation happening between the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that conversation which is not part of Quran. Those are the conversation happening which are not part of the Holy Quran, are thus not miracles, but they are the hadiths, they are the statements of Allah, and those statements are called Hadith al-Qudsi. This is a Hadith al-Qudsi where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, As-sawmu li wa ana ajzi bihi. Fasting belongs to me, and I am the one who's going to reward for that. And some of the Urafa actually recite the same hadith in a different way. Instead of reading the hadith in the active tense, they recite it in the passive tense. So they say, As-sawmu li wa ana ujza bihi. And the perspective of Urafa is always the best. And I always say in my speeches, I really wish our communities, generally speaking, learn the entire religion from the Urafa. Those are the mujtahids who are arif, not from those who are not arif. Arif means the one having the ma'rifat of Imam Sahib al-Zaman al-Islam, which is the highest knowledge of Islam. So if we learn our religion from the arif mujtahids in the real sense of the word, our destiny would change forever, for good. So the perspective of Urwa is always the best because they are arif, they have the ma'rifat of Sahib al-Zaman al-Islam. There's no hijab and curtain on their souls. When you purify your soul, you do tazkiyatun nafs, purification of the soul, you remove all the hijabat and curtains of sins from your soul, and that's how you purify yourself. And thus there is no hijab between you and the Imam alayhi salam. When we say there's a hijab between us and the Imam, there's no physical curtain hanging somewhere in some corner of the world. Hijab means lack of ma'rifat, adamul ma'rifah. Hijab of adamul ma'rifah, not having the ma'rifat of Imam Sahib al-Zaman al-Islam. So coming back to the point I was saying, the perspective of Urafa is the best of all the perspectives, and we need to learn our religion from them. So our Urafa read the same Hadith al-Qudsi in the passive tense, and they say that as-sawmu li wa ana ujza bihi. So fasting belongs to me, and I am the one who is the reward for it. So instead of reading it in the active form that I will reward for that, they recite it in a passive form that I myself am the reward for fasting. So for various worships of Islam, the rewards I mentioned, you pray, you get this much sawab. You give charity, you get this much sawab. You fast, you go for Hajj, you get this much sawab. But when it comes to fasting, there's no fixed sawab and reward mentioned for that, because the sawab and reward actually is nothing but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. And that reminds me of what my teacher, Ayatollah Hassan Zadeh Amuli, rahmatullah alayhi, he passed recently, one of the great arifs of our times, right? So Ayatollah Hassan Zadeh Amuli, he used to say, I remember my teacher said, that today I recited this and this surah of Quran, and the whole surah became in Suratun Nuraniya, in a Nurani, illuminated with the divine light in the form and shape of Nur in front of me. So when they recite a surah, the Quranic surah comes in the form of Suratun Nurani, and they can see that surah. I wish the people recognized and realized and made a change for their own selves, for their own sake. So coming back to the point, what I was saying, what my teacher, Ayatollah Hassan Zadeh Amuri rahmatullah alayhi said, that agar behish shirin ast, behish afarin shirin taras. If paradise is sweet, then the creator of paradise is even sweeter. Wow, what a great statement that is, right? There are a lot of people who are working for paradise and its rewards, right? Because paradise sounds so sweet for them. They think it's such a great set of blessings they're going to achieve if they behave well and nicely towards Allah. So you think paradise is so sweet that you spend your whole life for the sake of those rewards and blessings of paradise? What about the creator of paradise? Isn't he sweeter? That's pure logic. That's not a rocket science. That's pure logic. That's rational talk. That's purely logical conversation. when paradise is so sweet, there's so many people want to go to the paradise and work for the sake of paradise, which Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam has said that Ilahi ma abadtuka khawfan min narikum, my Lord, I didn't worship you for the sake of the scare of your fire. Wala tama'an fi jannatika, nor did I worship you for the greed of your, your paradise. Bal wajadtuka ahlan lil ibadati fa'abadtuka. Instead, I found you deserving of worship. That's why I worship you. This is the highness of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And some of the narrations say that he said hubban. The word hubban is used. That means he worshipped Allah for the sake of his love. If you open up the heart of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, you find nothing in their soul and heart except one thing, and that is the deep love of Allah. They do everything for the sake of the ishq and love of Allah. So this is as-sawmu li wa ana ujza bihi. Fasting belongs to me and I am the reward for that. Allah is the reward. So this is the third wisdom that we are trying to achieve through fasting, is to reach the status where we can see Allah, liqa'ullah, meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm running out of time, so I would like to shorten my speech further, although I have several things to mention here, but I think I should just drop those things and just go to, just go to the fourth and the last wisdom I would like to mention today, and that is taqwa and piety. And this is, we learn from the verse of Holy Quran that makes the fasting wajib on us, the believers, wajib on all of us, is that Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyamu kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. O you who believe, fasting has been made. Kutiba means fariḍa, means it has been made a fariḍa. It has been made a duty. So fasting has been made a duty upon you, incumbent upon you, obligatory upon you, the way it has been made obligatory, incumbent, a fariḍa, a duty, kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum, upon those who were before you. La'allakum tattaqun. Why the fasting is supposed to be done? La'allakum, maybe you get taqwa, you become muttaqi, you become pious. So the purpose of the goal we are acquiring is to acquire through fasting is to become muttaqi, pious, taqwa, piety. And the minimum definition, and I would like to end my speech on that, the minimum definition of taqwa and piety is that we abstain from all the harams and we do all the wajibs. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give all of us the tawfiq to understand and to practice the ma'arif, the high-level concepts and teachings and values of Quran and Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam in our everyday lives. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. बारलाहा परचम इस्लाम को सर बुलंद फरमा, परचम कुफ्र और शिर्क और निफाक को सर नगूं फरमा, इनकलाब इस्लामी की हिफाजत फरमा, तमाम उलमाए रब्बानियीन, तमाम मराजे किराम बिलखुसूस रहबर इनकलाब का साया हमारे सरों पर बरकरार, तमाम मुजाहिदीन इस्लाम बिलखुसूस जो हरम हाय मुक़द्दसा का इराक़ में और शाम में जनाब ज़ैनब अलैहिस्सलाम के हरम का दिफा कर रहे हैं, उनकी नुसरत फरमा, तमाम उसराए इस्लाम जो जिंदान हाय जुल्म में है उनको जल्द से जल्द रिहा फरमा, तमाम मोमिनीन की जान और माल और आबरू की हिफाजत फरमा, तमाम मोमिनीन की मशरूआ हाजात को पूरा फरमा, तमाम मोमिनीन को वज़ाइफ़ शरइया पर अमल करने की तौफीक नायत फरमा। खुदाया हमें उस वक्त तक इस दुनिया से ना उठा जब तक इमाम ज़मान अलैहिस्सलाम हमसे राज़ी ना हो जाएं, उनके ज़ुहूर में ताजील फरमा, हम सबको उनके अंसार और अशिया में करार दे। रब्बना तक़ब्बल मिन्ना इन्नका अंतस समीउल अलीम बिजाह मुहम्मद व आलिहि ताहिरीन। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू आपका बहुत शुक्रिया। जी जो लोग सवाल कर रहे हैं वो अपना सिटी जरूर मेंशन कर दीजिएगा। जी जवाद नकवी।
I'm from Melbourne, Australia. Thanks for indicating all these good things to us. May Allah give you a tawfiq, mazid inshallah, to have spread this knowledge of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam to us or to everyone who comes to you to make that understanding of Islam. I have one question, may not be related to the topic, but as we are celebrating the Wiladat of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, I would like to know, I mean, it's fasting. What's the ethic of celebrating the Wiladat? Especially, I need to point out one thing, which my children would be feeling over here, that that's not a good way of celebrating. Especially the poetry these days being they're being appreciated in a way that people stands up and then shouting and chanting and doing those things. So I would like to say that, okay, but they don't like these sort of things, and they don't feel that this is a good ethic of celebrating anyone's birthday, and especially if the Imam is sitting in front of us, can we do that? So I would like, if you can please let us know, what's the good ethics of celebrating any Wiladat or Shahadat, and especially when the emotions comes to that point, how we should do that. I'm really thankful for that.
Walaikum Assalam. Thank you so much for your question. May Allah increase in your tawfiqat as well. Yeah, so basically, the best way to recall, remind, celebrate these great events belonging to our Ma'sumin alayhi salam is to follow their footsteps. Because, in the hadith it says, Man ahabbana faly'amal bi'amalina. Whoever loves us must act according to our action, our amal. So the actual follower is the one who follows the footsteps of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, follows the footsteps of Prophet and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. So taking practical lessons, and I call it applied science. Applied science. What's in it for me? Imam Ali alayhi salam did this and this and this in Khaybar against the racist oppressor marhab of his time. What am I supposed to do today? Is there some lesson that I can apply in my everyday life? So I can follow the caravan of Noor of Imam Sahib Zaman alayhi salam. What's in it for me? Imam Ali was the most perfect. He is the most perfect. He was the most successful. He is the most successful. What am I supposed to do? But that applied science is usually missing in a lot of, generally speaking, in a lot of our Islamic centers. They don't talk about the applied science. That's why the enemies of Islam hate Imam Ridwanullah alayhi, because he talked about Yawm al-Quds. That's the applied science. So Imam Ali did this and this and this against the oppressive marhab of yesterday. And we are supposed to do the same thing about the Zionists of today. But that's not mentioned. Yazids of today are not mentioned. Unfortunately, there are people who talk about Yazids of yesterday and condemn him, which is very, very good. We must condemn. We must send la'nat on the Yazid of yesterday. Correct. But what about the enemies of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, the Yazids of today? Silence. Total silence. Total silence. In some of the poetries, in some of the speeches, total silence. This is what I call Islam of convenience. Poetry is very, very good. There were poets coming to Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, reciting the poetry. Ahlul Bayt used to encourage those poets in their poetries, which is very good to say any rhyme in the fadilat and superiority of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, whatever we say is less. They are so high. But first of all, the poetry should not contain anything which is not authentic. If I say in my poetry, Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam said this and this and this, she never said that. That's wrong. To attribute something which is false towards one member of Ahlul Bayt, that's wrong. Let's say something which is authentic. That's why a sha'ir needs to be bringing his poetry to some qualified scholar to correct his poetry before he comes to recite it. But that's not done by a lot of people, unfortunately. So there's a lot of unauthentic content floating. And I always say to my youth, don't just start liking hadiths of the Facebook during your fasting. You don't want to make your fast batil and invalid, right? If you authenticate a fake narration mentioned on Facebook, which is fake, Imam Sadiq Islam, for example, never said that, but you are liking it, you're supporting it, you're endorsing it. Don't do that. So coming back to the point, reciting the fadilat of Ahlul Bayt is very, 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 very good ibadat of Allah. But our ash'ar, our poetries need to be authentic, something which Ahlul Bayt said, and carrying the message of Ahlul Bayt and Quran, which they want the people, they sacrifice their lives for protecting the Holy Quran and the values of Allah. So we need to preserve those values and transfer those values in such an effective medium of poetry, which is more effective than prose. So we need to preserve those value system and the teachings of the Holy Quran and transfer through our poetry so that we can raise our generation, our community to become muntazir and true awaiters of Imam Sahib Azwan Salam. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Alisha and I'm from Amroha, India. And I just love your lectures. I love them all. I know my heart is beating so hard. I can't believe I'm talking to you. Well, everyone, please revival के link को share किया कीजिए. सवाबे जारिया है. और आपसे तो बस मेरा दो ही सवाल है, दो दुआएं चाहिए मुझे आपसे. एक मेरी एक हाजत है, प्लीज आप मुझे कोई दुआ सजेस्ट कीजिए जो मैं अपनी उस दुनियावी हाजत को पा सकूं, और एक मेरी आखिरत के लिए एक हाजत है. तो आप मुझे क्या सजेस्ट करेंगे? प्लीज आप मेरा नाम लेके मुझे बताइए. मेरा नाम अलीशा है.
बहुत शुक्रिया. थैंक यू फॉर योर क्वेश्चन. आपकी मेहरबानी. खुदा आपको सलामत रखे और मजीद तौफीक इनायत करे. ये दुआ एक छोटी सी मैं आपसे अलीशा बहन अर्ज कर रहा हूँ. ये आयतुल्लाह उज़्मा बहजत बहुत बड़े हमारे आरिफ थे, उनकी तरफ से ये दुआ है और मैं आपकी खिदमत में अर्ज करना चाहता हूँ. छोटा सा जुमला है. कभी भी कोई हाजत हो आप सर सजदे में रखिए. सलवात सबसे पहले भेजी जाती है, दुआ के आदाब में से है. ये सलीका हमें सिखाया गया. पहले रसूल अहले बैत अलैहिस्सलाम पे हम सलवात भेजते हैं, उसके बाद हम दुआ मांगते हैं. तो सजदे में सर रखिए और सलवात भेजिए. और उसके बाद आप ये छोटा सा जुमला पढ़िए, तजदो मन तुअज़्ज़िबुहु गैरी वला अजदो मन यरहमुनी सिवाका. मैं इसको दोहरा देता हूँ. तजदो मन तुअज़्ज़िबुहु गैरी वला अजदो मन यरहमुनी सिवाका. एक मरतबा दोहरा दूं ताकि आपको सही तरह से वहां तक मुंतकिल हो जाए. तजदो मन तुअज़्ज़िबुहु गैरी वला अजदो मन यरहमुनी सिवाका. इसका माना ये है कि हम खुदा से ये अर्ज कर रहे हैं कि खुदाया, हम ये अर्ज कर रहे हैं कि तुझे कोई और मिल जाएगा जिस पर तू अजाब नाजिल कर सके, मगर मुझे कोई और नहीं मिलेगा जो मेरे ऊपर रहम कर सके. बहुत प्यारी दुआ है. इंशाअल्लाह खुदा आपकी तमाम शरई हाजात को, दुनियावी और उखरवी तमाम हाजात को बेहक अहले बैत अलैहिस्सलाम बढ़ लाए. शुक्रिया.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम. मुज्तबा ज़ैदी बात कर रहा हूँ रावलपिंडी पाकिस्तान से. आपने फरमाया कि अपनी उम्र की मतलब तवालत की ख्वाहिश ना होना, लेकिन जैसे आपने भी आखिर में जो दुआ फरमाई कि हमें उस वक्त तक जिंदा रख के हम दीदारे इमाम ज़मा कर सकते हैं, या उसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में अगर एक शख्स ये हाजत तमन्ना या ख्वाहिश रखता हो कि वो तवील उम्र के साथ जिंदगी के उन इलाही मकासद की तकमील कर सके जो कुछ उसने अपने लिए मुंतखब या पसंद किया है, तो क्या उस सूरत में भी अपनी उम्र या अपनी हयात की तवालत के लिए ख्वाहिश रखना कोई बातिल नजरिया है?
और बहुत शुक्रिया आपके सवाल का. मैं ऑर्गेनाइजर्स की खिदमत में अर्ज करूंगा कि ये मेरे ख्याल से आखिरी क्वेश्चन रख लेता हूँ, क्योंकि मैं यहाँ भी इस कोने में हूँ, अमेरिका के एक दूसरे बिल्कुल कोने में, और यहाँ काफी लेट हो रहा है. तो मैं बस ये आखिरी सवाल का जवाब देके आप लोगों की इजाजत चाहूंगा. رخصت چاہوں گا. تو میں دیکھیں آپ کی خدمت میں عرض کروں کہ دنیا میں رہنا اگر کسی آدمی کا جو مذمت کی جاتی ہے کہ آدمی یہ دنیا میں رہنے کی خواہش کرے، وہ اس زاویے سے کی جاتی ہے کہ کوئی آدمی مادی جہت سے سوچ رہا ہے. اگر ایک آدمی مادی جہت سے نہیں سوچ رہا بلکہ معنوی جہت سے سوچ رہا ہے، اس میں کوئی قباحت نہیں ہے. امام کاظم علیہ السلام معتبر حدیث ہے، آپ نے اپنے صحابی سے یہ پوچھا کہ اتحب البقاء فی الدنیا، کیا تم دنیا میں رہنا چاہتے ہو؟ اس نے جواب دیا، صحابی نے، پڑھا لکھا صحابی تھا، باکردار صاحب علم. بعض لوگ ہیں جن کا علم زیادہ ہے تو وہ عالمانہ گفتگو کرتے ہیں، اہل بیت و قرآن سے انہوں نے سیکھا ہوا ہے. تو صحابی صاحب علم تھا، اس نے امام کی خدمت میں عرض کی کہ نعم، جی میں دنیا میں رہنا چاہتا ہوں. آپ نے پوچھا کیوں؟ اس نے عرض کی کہ مولا، امام کاظم علیہ السلام سے عرض کی کہ مولا میں یہ چاہتا ہوں کہ تاکہ میں زیادہ سے زیادہ اپنے محبوب سورہ قرآن کی تلاوت کر سکوں. میرا محبوب سورہ جو ہے وہ سورہ اخلاص ہے، یعنی قل هو اللہ احد. اور یہ just FYI, just for the sake of your information, that surah was actually the most beloved surah of the Holy Quran for Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam as well. مولا کی نگاہ میں بھی سب سے زیادہ محبوب سورہ یہی تھا قرآن کا. اور مولا خود بہت زیادہ قرات کیا کرتے تھے سورہ اخلاص کی. وہ آپ خود مظہر پورے قرآن کے مظہر تھے اور سورہ اخلاص سے بڑی محبت تھی. لا الہ الا اللہ کے مظہر ہے مولا. تو میں آپ کی خدمت میں کر رہا تھا کہ یہ جواب دیا امام کاظم علیہ السلام کو، میں زندگی میں دنیا میں رہنا چاہتا ہوں چونکہ میں چاہتا ہوں کہ اپنے محبوب سورہ یعنی سورہ اخلاص کی زیادہ تلاوت کر سکوں. اس پہ امام کاظم علیہ السلام نے فرمایا کہ من ماتا، جو ہمارے شیعوں میں سے جو آدمی مرتا ہے، ولم یحسن القرآن، قرآن کو زیادہ عمدہ طریقے سے الفاظ دیگر نہیں سیکھ پایا ہو، علم فی قبرہ، اس کو قبر میں تعلیم دی جائے گی. یہ خود ایک نئے ہورائزنز کھول دیے ہیں، نئے آفاق اس حدیث نے ہمارے لیے کھول دیے. کیونکہ جسے کہا جاتا ہے، ہمارے مفسرین کہتے ہیں کہ we don't have elevation of levels inside the paradise. If you want your level to be elevated, you need to elevate your levels in paradise right now through your actions and deeds, through your taqwa. You cannot do anything once you are there, after the death in barzakh and beyond. You can't do any action. So the place of doing the actions is right now. So you cannot elevate your levels. There is no raf'ud darajat al-amaliyah inside the paradise. You can never ever elevate your level inside the paradise. Once you are at a certain level, you are going to be there at the same level for infinity, forever. You can never be elevated to the higher level. But we believe in raf'ud darajat al-ilmiyah. That means there will be elevation of the level of knowledge. Knowledge will be taught to certain followers of Ahlul Bayt who deserve it. And that's what they say in Ilm al-Irfan, you get what you deserve. Every single ni'mat and blessing that you deserve, you are going to get it. اگر مجھے کوئی نعمت نصیب نہیں ہو سکی، یہ اس لیے ہے کہ میں اس قابل ہی نہیں تھا. اللہ تو بخیل نہیں ہے، اللہ تو کنجوس نہیں ہے، نعوذ باللہ. ہم کہتے ہیں سبحان اللہ، تسبیح کرتے ہیں. تسبیح کا کیا مطلب ہے؟ ہم اللہ کو منزہ گردانتے ہیں. We hold Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala above and beyond every condemned attribute, every detested attribute. And miserliness and stinginess, bukhl, is a condemned attribute. It's never going to be found in Allah. So why didn't Allah give me that blessing which He gave to somebody else? Somebody has the ni'mat, but I don't have that ni'mat. Why? Is Allah stingy and kanjoos and bakhil? Na'udhu billah, God forbid, He's not. We say subhanallah. Then why didn't I end up getting the same blessing? Because I didn't deserve it. Again, Ilm al-Irfan teaches us, سب سے بلند نالج اسلام کی ہمیں سکھاتی ہے کہ you get what you deserve. جو نعمت مجھے نہیں ملی وہ اس لیے نہیں ملی کہ میں اس کا اہل ہی نہیں تھا. اللہ عادل ہے. ہم ان مسلمانوں کی طرح نہیں ہیں کہ جو کہتے ہیں کہ اللہ یزید کو بھی جنت میں بھیج دے گا. نہیں، ہم کہتے ہیں نو وے. اللہ عادل ہے. ہمارے یہاں تو اصول دین کے اندر عادل ہے. اللہ کبھی بھی یزید کو جنت میں نہیں بھیجے گا کیونکہ اللہ عادل ہے.
تو اب وہ مجھے فلاں نعمت اس لیے نہیں مل رہی کہ میں اس کا اہل ہی نہیں ہوں. جیسے میں اپنے آپ کو اہل بنا لوں گا خدا عادل ہے, مجھے وہ نعمت فوراً مل جائے گی. لہٰذا بال از آلویز ان اور کورٹ. جتنا ہم گناہوں سے پرہیز کریں گے, تقوی حاصل کریں گے, طہارت روح حاصل کریں گے, روحانیت حاصل کریں گے, نورانیت قلب حاصل کریں گے, اپنے کو اہل بنائیں گے, اسی درجے کی نعمت اللہ کی طرف سے نصیب ہوگی. کوئی نعمت مجھے اگر نہیں مل سکی, اس کا واضح مطلب یہ ہے کہ میں اس قابل ہی نہیں تھا, میں نے ابھی صحیح طرح سے توبہ ہی نہیں کی, میں ابھی اتنی طہارت حاصل کر ہی نہیں پایا. اگر میں اس درجے کی طہارت حاصل کر چکا ہوتا تو وہ نعمت بھی اللہ کی طرف سے مجھے مل چکی ہوتی. نہ ملنا اس بات کی دلیل ہے کہ میں اس کا اہل نہیں ہوں. جو اہل ہے ان کو تو مل رہی ہے, ابھی بھی مل رہی ہے. تو لہٰذا یہ ہے کہ ہمیں دنیا میں اگر انسان معنوی میٹا فزیکل نعمتیں زیادہ سے زیادہ حاصل کرنا, جیسے اس شاگرد مولا کے شاگرد نے کہا مجھے اپنے محبوب سورے کی تلاوت کرنی ہے, زیادہ سے زیادہ معنوی نعمت حاصل کرنے کی نیت سے کوئی رہنا چاہتا ہوں, میں زیادہ یتیموں کی مدد کرنا چاہتا ہوں, میں زیادہ بیواؤں کی مدد کرنا چاہتا ہوں, میں چاہتا ہوں امام زمان علیہ السلام کی ولایت کی زیادہ سے زیادہ خدمت کر سکوں, ان کے طاغوتوں آج کے ضدوں کے خلاف نو کہوں, احتجاج کروں, ظلم کے خلاف قیام کروں تاکہ مولا کو کچھ ریلیف مل سکے. معنوی نعمتوں کے لیے کوئی رہنا چاہتا ہے, بہت اچھی بات ہے. مادی نیت سے مادی نعمتوں کے سلسلے میں زیادہ سے زیادہ مادیات حاصل کرنے کی نیت سے رہنا بری بات ہے. بہت شکریہ, اللہ آپ سب کی توفیقات میں اضافہ فرمائے.
جی آگے سوال لے لیں یا دعا کروائیں گے؟
میرے خیال سے چلیں میں ایک سوال لے لیتا ہوں جلدی سے, مگر مجھے پھر اجازت دیجیے, مجھے جانا ہے.
جی سید صفی اللہ عاشر صابر, مائک انمیوٹ کیجیے آپ لوگ.
السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ. آقا جان, میں سید صفی اللہ کشمیر انڈیا سے. میرا ایک مختصر سا سوال ہے کہ جو ہم نماز کے اختتام پہ سلام ادا کرتے ہیں, دو سلام تو ہماری سمجھ میں آتے ہیں کہ السلام علیکم ایھا النبی ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ, السلام علینا وعلی عباد اللہ الصالحین. یہ دو سلام ایک رسول کائنات مختار صلی اللہ علیہ وآلہ وسلم کے لیے, ایک اپنے لیے اور عباد الصالحین کے لیے. اور جو یہ تیسرا سلام ہے السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ, یہ کن کے لیے ہے؟ تو تھوڑی رہنمائی فرمائیں.
بہت شکریہ, اللہ سلامت رکھے, آپ سب کی توفیق میں اضافہ فرمائے. یہ سلام جو ہے ان ملائکہ کے لیے جو ہمارے اوپر موکل ہیں, یہ ہمارے داہنے جانب اور بائیں جانب اللہ کی طرف سے بہت محترم مکرم ہائی لیول فرشتے ہیں. یہ فرشتوں کے بھی درجات ہیں, جیسے انبیاء کے بھی درجات ہیں. قرآن نے کہا تلک الرسل فضلنا بعضهم علی بعض, بعض رسولوں کو بعض پہ فضیلت دی. انبیاء کے درجات ہیں, شہداء کے درجات ہیں, صدیقین کے درجات, ملائکہ کے بھی درجات ہیں. ہر فرشتہ ایک درجے کا نہیں ہے. یہ بہت ہائی لیول کے بلند پایا فرشتے ہیں جن کو اللہ نے اسائن کیا ہوتا ہے. ٹھیک ہے نا, ہمارے دائیں جانب بھی فرشتے اور بائیں جانب بھی فرشتے ہیں. بعض لوگ سمجھتے ہیں کہ یہ دو ہی ہیں, جبکہ رسول اللہ صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم کی حدیث کے مطابق 140 فرشتے ہیں جو ہر مومن کے اوپر معین کیے گئے ہیں. پوری زندگی میں کبھی فرشتے تکراری اور دوہرا کے نہیں بھیجے جاتے. جو فرشتے آج آئے ہیں وہ کل نہیں آئیں گے. جب کل دن کا آغاز ہوگا تو نئے فرشتے آ چکے ہوں گے, پرسوں آئے گی تو نئے فرشتے آ چکے ہیں. اللہ کے پاس کوئی کمی نہیں ہے. تو ہر دن مومن کے اوپر نئے فرشتے تعینات کیے جاتے ہیں, معین کیے جاتے ہیں. ٹھیک ہے نا, اصحاب الیمین اولا علی اصحاب الشمال, دائیں جانب پہ جو فرشتے موکل ہیں وہ اولا ہیں, ولایت رکھتے ہیں. یہ بھی کمال کی بات ہے. اللہ نے فرشتوں کے اندر بھی ایک کو ولی بنایا ہے, ایک کو حاکم. اسلام دین حکومت ہے. کیسے لوگ دین و سیاست کو الگ کر کے کس کنویں میں, جہل کے کنویں میں بیٹھے ہوئے ہیں اور بنو امیہ کو آج تک کامیاب بنا رہے ہیں. فرشتوں کے اندر بھی ایک کو اللہ نے ولی بنایا ہے, اولا بنایا ہے دوسرے کے اوپر. تو میں عرض کروں کہ یہ فرشتے ہیں جو کہ ہمارے دائیں جانب اور بائیں جانب ہیں, اور یہ ان فرشتوں کو ہم سلام کرتے ہیں. بہت محترم فرشتے ہیں یہ, جو کہ ذرہ برابر بھی غلط نہیں لکھتے, بالکل صحیح لکھ رہے ہیں ہمارے اعمال کو. اور یہ سارے کے سارے اعمال اور یہ سارے کے سارے فرشتے ہمارے سامنے روز قیامت, پوری زندگی میں جتنے فرشتے معین کیے گئے تھے ہر دن جو بدل بدل کے آئے سارے فرشتے ہمارے سامنے پیش کیے جائیں گے اور ہمارے سلسلے میں گواہی دیں گے. تو یہ سلام، آپ کے سوال کا جواب یہ ہے کہ سلام ہم ان فرشتوں کو کرتے ہیں. السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ. ہم ان فرشتوں کو سلام بھیج رہے ہیں اور اللہ کی رحمت و برکات ان کے اوپر بھیج رہے ہیں. وہ اس قابل ہے کہ ان کو سلام کیا جائے. بہت شکریہ آپ کا. تھینک یو.
آگے دعا کروا دیجیے. بہت بہت شکریہ.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة في كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الميامين.